The visit to Nepal by UN Chief Antonio Guterres had all the attention in the past few days. During his Nepal stay, the UN head managed to visit culturally significant sites in the country and also the mountainous regions most affected by the global climate crisis. This afternoon, Guterres addressed both houses of the parliament, pledging to continue with the support to the Himalayan nation with its efforts for transitional justice, sustainable development goals and climate concerns. Good evening, I'm Prarambha Dahal. Let's begin with the main stories. UN Secretary General Guterres suggests concluding transitional justice by prioritizing the victims, calls for world peace from Lumini, commits support for Nepal's campaign against climate change. Government policy for protecting industries lacks clarity. Production decreases while prioritizing imports. Rice worth 16 billion rupees imported. Around 100,000 households of Karnali with capacity of 18,000 megawatt without electricity. Works of project construction and transmission line expansion lack pace. And Nepal secured their semi-final berth in the ICC T20 World Cup Asia Finals. Sea of Malaysia by 8 wickets. Oman in the last 4 with a win over Singapore. United Nations Secretary General Antonio Guterres has addressed the joint sitting of the Federal Parliament and urged for concluding peace process by protecting the rights of the victims. Guterres began his speech by thanking the government of Nepal and Nepalese for the hospitality that he was greeted with and appreciated Nepal's effort in ensuring gender equality. The UN chief expressed UN's continued commitment to support in Nepal's smooth transitioning as it graduates from its least developed nation status. Guterres said UN respects Nepal's leadership in transitional process and stands ready to support with the process in line with the international standards.
Justice has the greatest chance of success when it is inclusive, comprehensive, and has victims at its heart. When it centers on truth, reparation, and justice, when women participate fully, and when all victims of human rights violations can find meaningful redress. And I welcome efforts here in Nepal to drive progress and find solutions in this regard.
He also asked for a moment of silence in honor of the Nepalese who have lost their lives while serving in UN peacekeeping missions. Guterres called Nepal a front-runner in climate actions and suggested that Nepal had made notable strides in reaching net zero carbon goal. He reiterated that Nepal had minimum contribution in global carbon emission but witnessed climate change-induced disasters, including floods and landslides, calling for greater support for development and climate actions, highlighting on loss and damage. In his own words, Guterres said there is loss and there is damage and there must be compensation.
Nepal and other developing countries need far greater international support to aid development, accelerate climate action, and weather the current global storms. I have proposed a Sustainable Development Goals stimulus that would release at least $500 billion a year in affordable long-term finance for sustainable development and climate action in developing countries like Nepal. Member States welcomed the proposal at the General Assembly last month and committed to advance it. I call on them to take action now to make these commitments a reality.
Guterres emphasized on his commitment to address Nepal's climate change concerns. He also appreciated the warmth of Nepalese people, the richness of the cultural diversity of the country, and the sanctity of Lumini, the birthplace of Gautam Buddha. Senior leaders of political parties have said that UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres had exhibited support for conclusion of peace process, but added that it is their responsibility to conclude the process. After exiting the joint meeting of the Federal Parliament, most senior leaders said that they would conclude the peace process. Prime Minister Pushpakamal Dahal termed the support exhibited by the United Nations regarding Nepal's peace process a positive approach. However, he expressed dissatisfaction on some statements on the peace process by a few leaders.
शान्ति प्रक्रियाको बारेमा अन्तर्राष्ट्रिय समुदायको संयुक्त राष्ट्र संघको महासचिवको यति राम्रो धारणा छ, तर दुर्भाग्य हाम्रै केही नेता साथीहरूले यस्तो बेलामा देश विभाजित देखाउनु भयो, त्यो भने दुर्भाग्यपूर्ण छ।
Main opposition CPN-UML Deputy Chairperson Vishnu Paudel said that the peace process had to be concluded and identified the need for formulating victim-friendly laws.
शान्ति प्रक्रिया छिटो टुङ्गिनुपर्छ भनिरहँदा हामी भिक्टिम सेन्ट्रिक भएर टुङ्गिनुपर्छ, मानवाधिकारका अन्तर्राष्ट्रिय मान्यताहरूमा आधारित भएर टुङ्गिनुपर्छ र हाम्रा अदालतका पूर्ववर्ती निर्णयहरूलाई आधार मानेर टुङ्गिनुपर्छ भन्ने हाम्रो दृष्टिकोण हो। हाम्रो दृष्टिकोणसँग संयुक्त राष्ट्रसङ्घका महासचिवको दृष्टिकोण हुबहु मिलेको मैले पाएँ। त्यसकारणले त्यस हिसाबले छिटो टुङ्गियोस् भन्ने हाम्रो चाहना हो। यो छिटो हुन्छ, विलम्ब हुन्छ, के हुन्छ, कसो हुन्छ भन्ने कुरामा नेकपा एमाले जिम्मेवार होइन, सत्तारूढ दलहरू यसका निम्ति जिम्मेवार छन्।
Despite the leaders reiterating the claim of addressing the issues related to transitional justice, it has remained stranded for the past 17 years. An agreement on the bill related to transitional justice has remained elusive because of several interests of the political parties. The government introduces policies to curb trade deficit from the budget each year. However, exports have never increased, while the trade deficit has not decreased. The trade deficit has crossed 366 billion rupees in the 3 months of the ongoing fiscal year. While exporting goods worth 1 rupee, we are importing goods of almost 10 rupees. However, Nepal's history tells a different story. 50 years ago, Nepal used to export rice to countries including India. Nepal had exported rice worth 243.9 million rupees in the fiscal year 2035-36 BS as per the Nepali calendar. However, Nepal is currently importing rice worth 36 billion rupees. Agricultural products worth more than 300 billion rupees are imported each year. The export market has reduced as the government-operated industries have closed and the private sector has prioritized trade instead of manufacturing. Cardamom, carpet, ready-made garments, leather and jute products, ghee and silver ornaments and handicrafts were exported in the 2050s. As per the Nepal Rashtra Bank, Nepal's export has been limited to oil and ghee among unlimited products this decade. Instead of increasing export by prioritizing manufacturing, trade deficit has expanded because of reducing production. Failure in competing with foreign products has also led to the drop in domestic production. Nepal had generated 980 million rupees by exporting 9.8 million kilogram of tea in the fiscal year 2064-65. However, tea worth only 3.93 billion was exported last year. Exports have dropped because of the failure in increasing production to meet the demand of the international market. In the 30s, export was 5.4% of the national economy. But with exports reducing after 2046, it has been restricted to only 3.2% of the gross domestic product. Butter worth 110 million rupees was exported in 2064-65, which reduced to 18.6 million rupees last year. While carpet worth 5.77 billion was exported in 2064-65, it has been limited to 11 billion rupees. Ready-made garment worth 3.93 billion was exported in 2064-65, which has been restricted to 7.72 billion. However, with the government failing to protect the clothing industry, its contribution to export has been dropping. Instead of manufacturing and export, exodus of human resources has increased, because of which the country has grown dependent on imports. In our public voice segment, today we have asked in all 7 provinces, what should be done to raise export of goods produced in Nepal? Let us now take a look at what they had to say.
कृषिमा छ भने अनुदान दिनु पर्यो हैन, इन्डस्ट्रीमा पनि त्यस्तै खालको वातावरण सृजना गरिदिनु पर्यो, मान्छे रोकिन्छन् अनि त्यसपछि मात्रै हामीले निर्यात अनि त्यसपछि उत्पादन बढ्छ अनि मात्रै हामीले निर्यात बढाउन सक्छौं।
निर्यात जन्य वस्तुको गुणस्तरमा पनि अभिवृद्धि हुनु पर्यो। राज्यले सम्बन्धित कर लगायतका अन्य जुन छन् त्यसमा छुटको व्यवस्था हुनुपर्छ। बाजा जमिनहरुलाई चाहिँ एकीकृत गरेर सामूहिक खेतीको चाहिँ कार्यमा प्रोत्साहन गर्ने।
गभर्नमेन्टले र निजी क्षेत्रले दुवैले एक अर्कासँग साझेदारी गरेर यो कुराहरू सम्भव हुन सक्छ।
राज्यले चाहिँ करको राम्रो व्यवस्था लगाउनु पर्यो।
नाका नभएको कारणले गर्दाखेरि आयातमा पनि समस्या छ, निर्यातमा पनि समस्या छ।
उत्पादन गर्ने उहरू स्रोतहरू बढाउनु पर्यो।
सरकारले पहल गरिदिनु पर्यो विदेशतिर बेच्नलाई।
निर्यातमुखी कानुनहरू निर्माण गर्नु पर्यो।
उत्पादन बढाउनु पर्यो।
उत्पादित वस्तुहरूलाई कलेक्सन गर्ने, त्यसैले ब्रान्डिङ गर्ने र निष्कासन गर्ने अथवा पैठारी गर्ने खालको विधि, त्यस्तो खालको नीति अपनायो भने सबैभन्दा उपयुक्त हुन्छ।
उत्पादनमा पहिलो कुरो जोड दिन पर्यो।
घरेलु उत्पादनहरूलाई चाहिँ राज्यले चाहिँ सहुलियत प्रदान गरेर
सर्वसुलभ दरमा ऋणहरू उपलब्ध गराइदिने,
कम लगानीले बढी चाहिँ आम्दानी गर्ने क्षेत्र चाहिँ राज्यले चाहिँ त्यसलाई अध्ययन गरेर त्यो क्षेत्रमा लगानी गर्नुपर्छ।
उत्पादन बढाउनु पर्यो। अब उत्पादन भएपछि बल्ल निर्यात हुने हो।
प्रविधिलाई अलिकति प्रयोग गरेर यहाँका युवाहरूलाई आयमूलक काममा लगाउन सकियो, यहाँका उत्पादनसँग जोड्न सकियो भने
नेपालमा उत्पादित वस्तुलाई गुणस्तरीय गराउनु पर्यो।
उत्पादन बढाउने कुरामा सरकारले बढीभन्दा बढी ध्यान दिएपछि हामी निर्यात बढाउन सक्छौँ।
विश्व बजारमा बिक्ने खालका उत्पादनहरूलाई जोड दिनुपर्छ।
नेपालमा उत्पादित सामग्रीहरू गुणस्तरीय छन् भन्ने खालको चाहिँ एउटा प्रभाव देशले चाहिँ अन्तर्राष्ट्रिय स्तरमा त्यो खालको प्रचार प्रसार गर्नुपर्छ।
Karnali province has the capacity of producing more than 18,000 megawatt electricity. The province has large rivers, including Karnali and Veri, that flow throughout the calendar. Now, several promising hydroelectricity projects, including the 1,902 megawatt Mugu Karnali, 900 megawatt Upper Karnali, 408 megawatt Fukot Karnali, 439 megawatt Bethan Karnali, and 417 megawatt Nalgad are awaiting construction. However, hundreds of villages and settlements of Karnali remain without electricity, as these projects that have been discussed for years have yet to be constructed, while central electricity transmission line is yet to be expanded. Baratal rural municipality of Surkhet is next to province capital Birendranagar. Despite being located next to the province capital, villages and settlements of Baratal, ward number 3, 4 and 8 do not have electricity. Local residents of a dozen settlements, including Chepang, Bhatteghari, Goinekada, Kumbikot, Taranga and Sazghat, still depend on solar power and oil lamps. 5-year-long effort to provide electricity to these settlements has remained incomplete. Nepal Electricity Authority Surkhet Distribution Center had begun electricity expansion from Hurki of Baratal Rural Municipality, ward number 8 to Taranga of ward number 3 5 years ago. Wires were managed for line expansion last year. However, electricity expansion is yet to gain momentum because of disputes related to line expansion. Similar to Baratal Rural Municipality, electricity expansion projects at villages in remote and mountainous districts, including Mugu, Dolpa, Humla, Jumla and Dailek, are slow and stranded. Slow pace of line expansion projects and construction of hydroelectricity projects have left around 100,000 households in Karnali without electricity. Of the 371,638 households of Karnali, 272,794 have electricity. The remaining 98,844 do not have access to power. Despite great prospects of electricity production, only 16.54 megawatt electricity has been produced from 5 small hydroelectricity projects in Karnali. License has been issued for feasibility study of around 6,000 megawatt electricity, while 14 hydroelectricity projects are under construction. Time now for our segment Public Pulse, where you text us with your opinion.
Public Pulse.
Before we ask today's question, let us take a look at the result from yesterday's poll. Yesterday we asked, why is there constant dispute between the center and provinces regarding jurisdiction? 42% were for A, unclear law, 46% were for B, centralized mentality, and 12% were for C, lack of coordination. And here is today's question. What should be done to make electricity accessible to all Nepalese? Your options are A, raise production, B, expand transmission line, and C, adequate investment. The voting is on. Type NEWS, select your option A, B or C and send it to 34001 to share your opinion with us. Time now for the international news. Gaza's Interior Ministry has said an Israeli air attack has hit apartment blocks in a residential area of Jabalia refugee camp in northern Gaza, killing and wounding hundreds. Heavy clashes have been reported after tanks reached a residential area in Gaza City as Israel pushes ground operation. Bombardments were reported across the besieged territory as Israel's Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu rejected calls for a ceasefire. At least 8,525 Palestinians have been killed in Gaza in Israeli attacks since the 7th of October. The UN Agency for Palestinian Refugees has said their staff were killed in ongoing strikes while in their homes with their families. The latest deaths bring the death toll for UNRWA staff in Gaza to 67 since October 7. Jabalia is the largest of the Gaza Strip's 8 refugee camps. The densely populated camp in the north of the besieged enclave covers an area of only 1.4 square kilometers. According to the UN, there are some 116,000 registered refugees in the camp. The Israeli military has repeatedly struck the camp since the start of the war, including on October 9, 12, 19 and 22, killing and wounding hundreds of people. A spokesperson from the Palestine Red Crescent Society says teams are working on the ground to try and transfer the casualties to hospital following the attack on the Jabalia refugee camp. Jabalia residents have described the bombardment as an earthquake that shook the entire refugee camp. People are still transporting the remains of children, women and elderly. The Al-Qassam Brigade's Hamas's armed wing says its fighters have been clashing with vehicles that have infiltrated central Gaza's Zitown neighborhood. It said its fighters were able to blow up one of them on the eastern side of the neighborhood.
Sports news.
With a second successive win, Nepal have progressed to the semi-final stage of the ICC T20 World Cup Asia Final. Having secured a win over Singapore in their first match, Nepal saw off Malaysia by 6 wickets to move to the last 4 of the tournament. In the match played at the Tribhuvan University Cricket Grounds in Kantipur, Malaysia won the toss and elected to bat, where they posted 165 runs for the loss of 9 wickets in 20 overs. Syed Aziz top scored with 68 runs, while Zubkedi Zulkifli made 24. Avinash Bora was the pick of the Nepali bowlers with 4 wickets. In reply, Nepal chased the target in 18 overs, losing only 4 wickets. Kushal Malla top scored with 65 runs from 34 balls. His innings included 7 sixes and 2 fours, while Kushal Vurtel made 43 and Asif Sheikh contributed 32. Muhammad Amir picked 3 wickets for Malaysia. Meanwhile, Oman have also progressed to the semi-final from Group A, while Malaysia and Singapore have crashed out.
That's even bigger. Shorter side of the ground.
That is all for the moment. Up next is the news in Nepali. Thank you for staying with us. Goodbye for now.